my name is Lindy Sherries. Hello, my name is Lindy Sherries, and I used to be a Sangoma. In this channel, I talk about everything, guys. Abokorobela, the secrets that we were taught not to share with you guys, how we used to trick you guys, the spirits, how everything works when you go to a Sangoma for consultation, yamatambo. So whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, please check out this channel so we can talk about it. If you believe in God, let's share the gospel. If you don't believe in God, you can check out the channel too. I want to hear your opinion, and I want people to actually share their opinion, not insulting me without saying why. Thank you, and I'll see you on my channel.
Masinya Attorneys Incorporated, a boutique commercial and taxation law firm in Midrand, Johannesburg, South Africa. Strategic lawyers on point with more than 20 years of practice experience. We are professional, capable, and qualified.
Hello, Algerians. Welcome to Solomon's Temple. So great to be with you here. I hope you're having a wonderful festive period. I hope you had a wonderful time of just reflecting on the birth of Jesus. You know, a lot of people brought up the whole argument about Jesus was actually not born on the 25th of December. You know, what they forgot was we're not celebrating just a birthday of Jesus. We're celebrating the birth of Jesus. So whether he was born on the 25th or he was born on the 20th or he was born in June or April or August, it doesn't matter. He was born. And because he was born, we're celebrating his birth, which brought salvation, redemption, set the captives free. It brought a lot of freedom for the price that he paid. He changed history in itself. And this is what this season is really all about. Yeah, if you look at it historically from the days of the emperor, I'm trying to remember the name of the emperor there in Rome, who actually made this day an official day, which was also part of a pagan celebration. We all know that, right? I'm just thinking now, I should have actually spoken about this, maybe created a whole broadcast around just the significance of the birth of Jesus compared to the significance of the day, the 25th of December. But I want to welcome each and every one of you, wherever you are, compliments of the season. Merry Christmas. Happy holiday. I hope you're doing very well. Adolphine from where? From Namibia.
All the Bereans, I hope you're doing well. IT says voice change. My voice change. Okay. Thank you. I hope it's in a good way. Good afternoon, Malume Soul. Thank you, Tandy. Pretty girl. Your voice sounds strange. Sound, perhaps. Maybe it's a sound, is it? Yes, I have a microphone. Can you hear me?
Is my voice okay? Let's see. Okay, now I hear you. I hope I'm back. Thank you, IT Guru. Great to have you here, Gleason, my friend, formerly of New York. Should I say formerly of New York? Okay, pretty says it's okay now. Okay, thank you, Joseph. Thank you. Much better, isn't it? All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, every one of you who is here. Holly, Abby, thank you. I'm trying to see. Yeah, we have Vuvu who is here. I said, yes, he was a Christian. All right. Angeline, wait, are we on this? How did we reach here? Well, we're here, whether you like it or not. And I think for a lot of you guys who are residents outside of South Africa or who are not South Africans, this will give you some sort of a reflection of what's been going on here locally around around the person of Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, his legacy, what he stood for, the perception that certain people have about him. You know, I happen to know his family. You know, I know I'm been friends with his son, Trevor, his only son, and I know his daughter-in-law. I know his granddaughter. Matter of fact, his daughter-in-law and his granddaughter was at my wedding about 9 years ago. They attended my wedding. They're part of the Tutu family. His granddaughter and his daughter-in-law, who is married to his son, his only son. So we have to look at what people are really, perception that people are having. So the question is, was Desmond Tutu a Christian? Was he a Christian? He passed away 2 days ago at the age of 90. We all know he was very sick in his last years. He had prostate cancer for the last, I think, about over 20 years that he was struggling with. He was based in Capetown. And we know his metamorphosis from being a teacher. He was a teacher before he joined the Anglican Church, where he studied and now became a clergy. And when he became a clergy, when you begin to study scripture, then you begin to get convicted around, you begin to ask questions of the political arena, questions around the social arena. And that was how he now became a struggle warrior. He's one of the only few people that actually never, he was arrested or whatever, but he never really went to jail, because obviously he had a voice. And he was the Secretary General of the South African Council of Churches, which in those days, in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, it was a very, very big platform, a very powerful platform. Now he has passed away. And we want to look at some of the issues that are part of his legacy. Because for a lot of people, there's a mixed reaction to his legacy. A lot of people felt, his legacy, it's all mixed up. Right? So now I want to look at, when people say you are not a Christian, what does it mean? Because after he passed away, I posted a couple of things on my Facebook page, and I got quite a lot of feedback where people say, no, he's not a Christian. When you people say he's not a Christian, what do you mean? Because he's not behaving or making decisions like me? Because he doesn't see things the way that I see things? What is a common denominator when it comes to our Christian faith? Is it salvation? Is it repentance? Is it redemption? What is a common denominator? Because there should be a common denominator, isn't it? So when you have leaders like that passed away, especially for him, unlike Nelson Mandela, who was not a clergy, he wasn't an archbishop, he wasn't a bishop. But with Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a lot of Christians are having a say inside of it, because he was a moral leader, unlike Nelson, his good friend, Nelson Mandela. Do you know that even when Nelson Mandela died, he didn't attend the funeral, the whole procession, because he was sidelined, and because also he wasn't okay with the government of the day, then the ANC government of the day, because of a huge, huge level of corruption. So I would want to say and present to you a few things that I have thought about. I thought about it, and I felt Archbishop Desmond Tutu was not a Christian. Why? Number one, because of his forgiveness. The level of forgiveness that he promoted, that he preached about, that he stood for, is unlike us Christians. He promoted it. He was the chairperson of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where he promoted forgiveness, where he promoted and said, look, for us to be a rainbow nation, he coined the phrase. He actually created the phrase rainbow nation. He was the one who created it. He said, for us to be a rainbow nation with white people, black people, Indian people, colored people, we need to be able to learn forgiveness God's way. Do you see forgiveness today in church or around clergies? No. In church, actually, when you do something, they want to punish you. Yes, maybe sometimes they need to be punished, but there is a lot of unforgiveness in our hearts today as Christians. There's a lot of unforgiveness in our leadership today as Christians. There's a lot of unforgiveness in the way the church is being run today. There's a lot of unforgiveness. So if we claim to be Christians and we harbor this unforgiveness to a very high level, then definitely Archbishop Desmond Tutu isn't a Christian. Because Archbishop Desmond Tutu represented that level of forgiveness and promoted it. So was he a Christian? In that regard, I don't think he's a Christian. The level of forgiveness. Forgiveness is when we surrender. Is actually whenever we surrender our pain to God to deal with it, relinquishing any sort of animosity, hate towards another person, towards another race, trust towards another community or group of people. But to be honest with you, when I look around the church, the temperature of the church when it comes to forgiveness today, we are struggling. We could do better. And do you know, even his level of forgiveness got a lot of people saying that Archbishop Desmond Tutu was a sellout to the black race in South Africa because he promoted forgiveness to a level where you have to forgo certain things that some people feel that they deserve revenge. And just like you and I, he's an imperfect person. So I'm not here to present to you a perfect person. I'm not here to present to you a perfect church or a perfect Christian. Far from it. But there are methodologies that we need to follow, principles and values that we need to follow. So his level of forgiveness clearly shows the divine nature of God when it comes to forgiveness, which we struggle with. In our marriages, we struggle with unforgiveness today. In our relationships, we struggle with unforgiveness. We struggle with unforgiveness from things that was done against us 20 years ago. We don't speak to certain people because we carry unforgiveness today. We carry unforgiveness. Marriages, Christian marriages are breaking up, divorce left, right, and center because we carry unforgiveness. You can imagine if we learn from him. He was married for over 60 years. Obviously, forgiveness helped him to maintain his marriage for that long. We need forgiveness in our nation. We need forgiveness in amongst the different races that we have. So if we say that Archbishop Desmond Tutu isn't a Christian, yeah, if we expect Christians to forgive to a certain level and not to a certain level, then he's not a Christian. In that way, he exhibited and showed how to follow Jesus, not how to be a Christian, but how to follow Jesus. Point number 2, he promoted and preached against social and political injustices. So many times he was followed. So many times he was told to shut up.
But he felt wherever there is injustices socially and politically, it takes away the dignity of the people of that land. And that in itself took away the dignity of people. So he followed through and fought against injustices socially and politically. But today, some people are saying that he's not a Christian. Do you know it takes a revelation from God for you to be able to follow through and fight against injustices that are social and political? You are putting your life and your family's life at risk. Because you see, human dignity is something that's given by God. So no man should take it away from a group of people or from a race. I'm sure a lot of people told him then in the 70s and in the 80s that he was too political as a bishop. He was too political. Christians are not supposed to say or do anything around politics. That's a lie. It was a divine nature. Christians will stay away. I know a lot of Christians that will stay away from it. We love to stay away and criticize. We don't want to endanger our life for the sake of the community. But you see, for Archbishop Desmond Tutu, it was about the life of people, the community, the oppressed community, the Black community, the Indian community, the colored community that was being governed and ruled by the injustices of the white community. So for him, it was about standing up for the vulnerable, standing up for the weak, standing up for the oppressed. Well, if you say he's not a Christian, maybe he's not, but he followed the footsteps of Jesus in standing up for the oppressed. How can you be the mouthpiece of the oppressed? How can you be the feet of Jesus to be able to go and help the oppressed? These are principles that we see in the Bible. Some people said, well, he's part of the Illuminati or he's part of the Freemasonry. They created all this conspiracy and stuff, and him and Mandela being part of that. I'm a journalist and I've researched and I haven't found anything. But because a lot of us Christians, we just follow anything that is floating around the internet and we believe it. Archbishop Desmond Tutu didn't behave like a Christian when he risked his life to speak against the oppressive government, oppressive regime of the 1980s and 90s. He didn't behave as a Christian, because a lot of us Christians, no, we want to just be quiet. As long as I'm okay, my life is okay. No, I don't want to cause anything. That's fine. The third point is Archbishop Desmond Tutu promoted tolerance and inclusion. And that actually got him into trouble. And which is a part that I do not agree with him with, which is about the gay and lesbian community. Right? This is him here with his very good friend, Nelson Mandela. Just after South Africa got its freedom. You know that the Christian community have done a very poor job when it comes to the issue of gay and lesbians, the LGBTIQ. We carry a lot of hate for people who are gay or lesbians or transgender. We just carry this hate for them. Matter of fact, some people actually take their lives. Some people gang up and do stuff to them. Men do, and in the name of Christianity. We hate them. We exclude them. We don't even want to talk to them. Now, I'm not saying you should tolerate their lifestyle. For me, biblically speaking, the sexual lifestyle of gay and lesbian isn't endorsed by the scripture at all. You can be gay or lesbian as long as you're not engaging in the practices or you're not in relationships. That's what I believe. Because some people feel that way. And it's not a sin to feel that way. But what you do with that is very important. I know great people who they feel that way. They feel that he's gay or he's attracted to men. But because of their Christian belief, they cannot practice it. They cannot get involved with men. It's a tough place. It's a tough place to be. Remember, we're all fallen natures. Remember, what sin has done is it has distorted who we are. And every day we crave for the righteousness of God. We crave for the way of Jesus. But we've done a very poor job when it comes to Christianity and how we handle gay and lesbian and how we don't tolerate them, how we exclude them. I'm not saying we should promote them. All I'm saying is we must give them dignity as humans. Because human dignity is given by God. He created them, even though they chose to be that way. For me, they chose to be that way. But he created them. He loves them. The way God loves a gay or a lesbian person is the same way that he loves me. But it's just the fact that they chose a different path. They chose a path which is not what God would want for them. And God is not going to force them to change it. So why are we forcing them? We can disagree with them. We can disagree with the issue, but not them. Not them. We always bring this whole Sodom and Gomorrah thing that is just out of context. And do you know Archbishop Desmond Tutu's daughter is actually a lesbian? She was married to a man. They got kids. And then she now, later on in her 50s or so, she decided she's a lesbian. She went into a relationship with a woman. She's actually a pastor herself. And the Anglican church, she was a priest. And she had to give up her license. This is her here, getting married to another woman. Her name is Mpo Tutu. That's the name of Archbishop Desmond Tutu's daughter. So she got married to this woman from the Netherlands. This is them. You can see the way they are looking into each other's eye. You know they are lovers. This is her here. Maybe I should actually do a whole broadcast around her. Because she went to seminary, she went to Bible school, studied and all that. She was a priest. He supported. I understand the whole point of inclusion and tolerance. Right here, endorsing, maybe because it was his own daughter that was found in this situation. And a lot of fathers would do that. They would say, oh, well, if that's what you want, choice you want for yourself, my daughter, because I love you and because I'm going to support you. But what does the Bible say about it? So definitely his reaction or his endorsement of her lifestyle, it's unbiblical. But where he came from is just the fact that there's been a lot of exclusivity where we excluded a lot of people from our lives. We don't tolerate certain people. We don't even want to hear what they're going through. We exclude people from our life, from our church. For me, he has gone overboard with this. But again, we as Christians, we need to be able to be more tolerant. We need to be able to be more inclusive. Let me tell you, I know part of, like I said, I know part of Archbishop Desmond Tutu's family. I know his son. I know his daughter-in-law. I know his granddaughter. And they have a lot of reservation Not even a lot of reservations. They disagree with him in so many different things, in so many different areas. They disagreed with him totally for so many years. And we have to disagree with each other. But when we disagree with each other, are we able to listen to each other, understand each other, and also get to see where each other is coming from? Are we able to do that? Are we able to do that? Finally, Archbishop Desmond Tutu isn't a Christian for me because of the way he stood against corruption. Because many Christians today would not stand against corruption. Either it is financial corruption, whether it's moral corruption, whether it's corruption in corruption is corruption. Corruption is not just about money. He stood against corruption. He got into trouble a lot because he stood against corruption. He kept, in his last 10 years, he always spoke against the corruption that is growing amongst the ruling party and amongst the government in South Africa. He said that over and over and over again. How many of us Christians will watch corruption? We see corruption through charlatans and fake pastors and prophets in churches, but we keep quiet. We say, it's not my place to talk. Well, God would handle it. If that's what it takes, that's how Christians should behave, then he's not a Christian. He's more a follower of Jesus in that regard than being a Christian. He actually wrote a book himself called God is Not a Christian. Check it out. Google it. Archbishop Desmond Tutu wrote a book, God is Not a Christian. Check it out. Check it out. So what does it have we asked ourselves what it takes to be a Christian? Have we? It is important for us to look at the lives of others, how they're living their lives, especially now that for somebody like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who's passed away. How do we emulate part of their lives that is worthy of emulation? That is important for us. Abraham said, as a Christian, you must advocate correction when we see wrong. Correction is not hate, of course. Ada Zion says, no, Solomon, as Christians, we must be intolerant to sin. I didn't mention sin there. So understand me. When I say you must be tolerant, I'm not saying you should be, of course, you must be intolerant to sin. But are you tolerant to the sinner? What we have in church today is we are not even tolerating the sinner. So how would the sinner get to know Christ? How would the sinner get to change their ways or get to consider our ways that God has given us? You can never tolerate sin. I don't tolerate sin. I hate sin with a passion, but I love the sinner. But in churches today, when we see gay and lesbians, we don't even tolerate them. We avoid them. We don't want to talk to them. Shiela says, I always say it's better to have a happy child than no child at all. Difficult to control kids no matter what. May his soul rest peacefully. Okay? You cannot be living a sinful lifestyle and claim to serve God as pastor. This is a satanic tactic in these end times. Some of the comments here, I don't really understand it. Someone here is saying this guy Solomon is not born again. He's just a man who tries hard to live a good life. Well, it's the same thing that we have when it comes to Archbishop Desmond Tutu anyway. So you see the kind of attitude that I'm talking about here. You see the kind of mindset that I'm talking about here. Instead of taking time to examine the person, this Nehemiah guy, you never even met me before. You know, that's a big conclusion for you. So you are born again. I'm not born again. Congratulations to you, Jeremiah. Hallie says, love is to all of God's creation. Mankind is God's special handwork. Love to everyone. No race, tribe, religion, color, none. Christ died while we were sinners. Exactly. So you see people here who are saying the Anglican Church is now a satanic shrine. How do you get that kind of conclusion? Because remember, the Anglican Church is not an institution, it's the people. Are you saying every Anglican is a satanic worshiper? Is that what you're saying? Think about it. So here's someone who is saying Tutu was a Freemason and he had lots of hate for some politicians. This kind of statement, I don't know how you justify it. People just make these statements without really backup. Quite a lot of checking out some of these comments. I don't understand a lot of these comments. So yeah, so there were even people that, Tutu was actually hated for a lot of what he did at the Truth and Reconciliation Committee when it comes to forgiveness, and also when it comes to the way he handled the issue of Winnie Mandela, where he actually had to tell her to speak the truth about the football club that she used to run, and which, some boys lost their lives through there, and they're saying based on her order, she gave that order. If you're in Africa, please check DSTV channel 199. There is going to be from yesterday until the day he's going to be buried, there's a channel that is just exclusively for some of the works that he has done. Do I agree with everything that Tutu stood for? No. Do I agree with a lot of things that he stood for? Yes. And a lot of us Christians need to go back to a lot of the things that he stood for, just so we can be a better church, we can be a better people. That's very important. Very, very important. I leave you with a quote from Tutu himself. This is a quote that is what he said. He said, do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. What good are you doing where you are right now as a Christian? Are you forgiven? Are you standing against corruption? Are you standing against social injustices, political injustices? Are you really being a Christian? Because that's what it takes to be a Christian. And let's also remember Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He was a man that laughs and cries in public. Let's be as transparent as him with our emotions. That way, when we are weak, God will make us strong. Rest in peace, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Hamba Kadle. God bless you. I'll see you again.